Hi, my name is Berta Melendres, and I wanted to share a story with you of a moment of my life that transformed and shaped the way I do life since then. Um, I'm a cradle Catholic, been in church my whole life, and this um, little encounter that I had with God happened when I was 19 or 20 years old. I was coordinating a retreat for our youth group, but we were inviting people from all of our neighboring parishes. So things were going, we had already passed out flyers and done all kinds of stuff. So we were expecting a big crowd for a weekend retreat. This one specific day, I get a call. I was at work and I get a call from our parish secretary saying that we couldn't use the facility, and the retreat was actually being held like a week or 2 weeks after. And all of a sudden, we didn't have the facility. A bunch of other things had been going wrong. Some speakers had canceled, and a few other incidents had happened. But this one was really the top. This one was the cherry on the top, and I did not know how to handle it. When that happened, I get the phone call, and I'm like, well, we've distributed over, I don't know, 500 flyers, maybe 1,000, I don't know. How am I gonna get them all back and tell people that we're not having it at this place? So at that moment, I remember hanging up the phone. I went to my manager, said, can I please go to lunch right now? So I took an early lunch and I'm walking out. I worked by the beach. And so I walked to the pier and I'm walking on the pier, and all of a sudden I didn't want to look at people, so I'm looking down the whole time. I didn't want to make eye contact with anybody because I was just going to start crying. So I'm noticing all these imperfections on the concrete, all these cracks, and then on the railings of the pier, I see how they were decaying and crumbling to pieces and eroding. So all these bad things are popping out at me, all these imperfections, and all of a sudden I just feel God and His presence and His voice say, look up. Look at what I can do. So I look up at the ocean and I see how beautiful the sky was, and the sun shining, perfect clouds in the sky, and the water gleaming and shiny. And I was in awe, and I felt God right there in His beauty. And all of a sudden I feel Him tell me, look, this is what I can do. That you notice is what you humans, people can do. But I can do bigger, greater, perfect things, life-giving, eternal things. So I, in that moment, feel Him say, let me do it. I start bawling, I'm crying, and I tell Him, you know what? You're right. You take control of it. I don't want to do stuff that's gonna decay, that's gonna fall to pieces. You can do something better. You can make it beautiful. You can make it eternal. So I turned it over to God at that moment, and I said, I've done what I can. I can't do no more. It's all in your hands. It's up to you how you want to do this retreat. So I remember, crying it out, ended up going back to work. I don't think I ate, but I went back to work. And a few hours later, I get a phone call from the secretary saying that she had cleared things out and that we were able to use the facility and have the retreat. Things shaped up perfectly. We had a great attendance. We ended up having such a good retreat. And since that day, I remember, saying, this is what I need to do with the rest of my life, So every time I'm doing or working on a project, I'll do what I can. But at the end, right before it happens, I turn over to Him and I say, you know what? You take it. It's all yours. I've done my part. Now you have to do yours. And I share this story because I think it's important that we know that we can do stuff, but it's very important that we rely on God. He is the one that can make things beautiful, that can give us life, life-giving, eternal. And that's what we want, because in this ministry, leading souls to Christ, we can't do it. We can't. There are so many, many things that He's the only one that can do. He's the only one that can touch and make them perfect and beautiful and life-giving.